Hello everybody, this is Marty, and this is Sailing Vessel Kudos, a Hans Christian 38T, heavy blue water cruiser, full keel, tipping the scales at 43,000 pounds in cruising trim. Okay, got to Nanaimo and grabbed a mooring buoy in Barlow Bay. There actually is no anchoring available or allowed in this area. You have to grab a mooring ball, and which is just fine. I'd rather do that anyways, and it was only like $11 a night to grab one, so no big deal there. And better than dropping an anchor. Anyways, I unfortunately grabbed one that did not have any markings on it, so I had to go launch the dinghy and find one that had the QR code so I could pay the fee and whatnot. And a lot of them were for 30 feet and under boats, so I had to make sure I got one that was for a bit larger boat. Anyways, you can see here all the boats around the anchorage or the mooring field off of this island here right across from the city in Nanaimo. Beautiful area. Was able to go into town and get some groceries. I did explore the island here. Again, the videos that I took all over the island are gone. Hopefully that won't happen again. But yeah, pretty cool spot. I definitely recommend it. I'm sure it gets a lot busier in the summertime. This was in September, so a lot of people, you know, kids are back at school, and a lot of people are not cruising around on their boats anymore. So definitely a fun, relaxing time for me, though. After I got on the island, these little black squirrels were running around everywhere. It was pretty cool. I've never seen them before. And part of the history behind this island is they used to mine, or whatever you want to call it, pulp stones, which were made out of sandstone, and they used it to grind together to make your paper pulp years ago. And as you can see here, they have the same problem with derelict and junky boats around too. Here's some more of Nanaimo. It's a pretty town, or city I should say. Beautiful area. After leaving Nanaimo, heading for Dodd Narrows, I was coming by some log rafts here like we used to have down in our area. A couple of tugs working the rafts. They deemed it pollution or whatever down in our area on the Columbia River, so they don't do it anymore. But up here, that's still a common practice. Here I'm still heading south. I came by some killer whales. That's the only shot I got. They had those tour boats so close, I think they scared them off. Here's an old schooner that I thought looked pretty cool in the distance. And then I ended up going into Poets Cove after spending the night on Russell Island. And Poets Cove, I've been here before, if you see in my other video. Beautiful area. Really cool spot. I highly recommend it. Anybody traveling up there to go by and check it out. And then from Poets Cove, I headed for Roche Harbor. This is coming around one of the islands with the lighthouse on the end of it that you could hike to, that I did not, because that's a long hike from the bay that I was in. Anyways, come around the corner of the lighthouse here, and I come into a rip, and there was a life ring buoy floating along with a bunch of rope attached to it. Fortunately, there wasn't a person attached. So I grabbed it. Had no markings on it or anything, so there was nothing to report or nothing to do. This is Roche Harbor. Took the dinghy in and walked around there and checked things out. Beautiful little area. Nice bay, tons of anchorage room. It's huge. And I didn't even explore all that by any means. Beautiful buildings. Lots and lots of docks. In my opinion, expensive. There's Kudos out in the distance. And I even bought a t-shirt. Leaving Roche Harbor, heading for Friday Harbor. Coming into there's Friday Harbor, nice town again, grocery store and stuff. So I stayed there a couple of days and got provisions and stuff. Ferries coming in and out. And again, as you probably know by now, I think the planes are really cool. They land pretty close to you sometimes. So watching them is always fun. Was a National Geographic ship in there. I'm sure that isn't cheap to go for rides on, but some more of just the anchorage around Friday Harbor. There's not a lot of room there to anchor. You got to kind of pick your spot. National Geographic ship again. And then I went into town, walked around, a little fountain there at Friday Harbor. Down a walkway and path, some totem pole and stuff. There's the ferry docks with Kudos in the background. And another schooner out there. From Friday Harbor, I went to Anacortes, fueled up, and then I headed for Alec Bay, south end of Lopez Island. Hung out there for a night, all by myself, only boat in the complete bay. And then the next day I headed for Barlow Bay, so I'd have some protection from the lee shore from the wind, which was going to be coming out of the southeast. And this would have been wide open to all the wind coming out of the strait. So I went on the other side of it to anchor up for a couple of days to let the storm blow through. Here, heading out of Alec Bay, heading around the corner to Barlow Bay, the wind is actually supposed to be coming out of this direction here. And I'm just going to go back over on the other side of those trees back there and get on the other side of that chunk of land to get out of it. Otherwise, I'm wide open to the wind and waves in this place. So cruising out of here, find a little safer spot to hang out for the gale force winds they're forecasting. Kelp in the water right there. Port Townsend would be way off in the distance that way. Originally was going to go to Swim, but John White Marina, but that's a really shallow entrance and stuff, and I don't think I should be doing it in stormy conditions. So, like I said, I'm going to go right on the other side of that. There's another bay on the other side, Mackinac Bay. Go check it out. I got Starlink, so I don't have to worry about not being entertained or having communications. And, this is Alec Bay. In a westerly breeze, northwest or whatever, this place would be perfect. Not today and for the next 5 days. Okay. Well, Friday is the go down and be back nice again. But they're saying, like I said, winds to 40, possibly even 45 knots through Thursday. Just uncomfortable. Kudos could definitely handle it. Don't have a problem with that, but it's the point where you can't hardly stand up and you got to hang on to something all the time, and it's just not fun anymore. And I don't want to do it if it ain't fun. So it looks like a little bit of a calm before the storm this morning. We'll head out of here right now and see what I can find. And this is Barlow Bay. This is where I'm going to sit and ride out the storm. A few other boats in here. I don't know whether they're here permanently. A couple of them are mooring buoys. Private docks over there that used to be public. Garmin chart plotter says public, but Navionics says private, and there's a sign on the end of it that says no trespassing. Cool little cove. The wind's going to be coming from that way, so I don't have much fetch to build up any waves or anything. This should be a really comfortable spot to stay at for the next few days. There's a boat ramp in here somewhere, and I guess it's not a very far walk to a store and a restaurant, so that'll be nice too. See what happens. I back down on the anchor at about 2,000 RPM, and she's holding strong and not going anywhere, so everything looks good there. Should be a good spot. Well, after raining all day yesterday, and actually a very, very it's now starting to get here. It's blowing about 20 right now. Obviously, it looks like I picked a fairly good spot because there's not a lot of fetch for waves to build. Fairly close to all the shores. It's supposed to get up to 45 tonight and tomorrow and through Thursday. But I think I'll just hang out here. I'm surprised it's sunny this morning. I was actually expecting it to rain. I didn't pay much attention to the actual cloud cover and the rain. I was more concerned about the wind. But again, it's nothing dangerous, but just choose to stay comfortable and in a spot where well, Tuesday evening, starting to see wind of between 30 and 35 knots now. Definitely got a brisk breeze going on. Good morning. This is Wednesday morning. Wind's backed off to 15 to 20 at this point, according to the chart plotter and the wind sensor at the top of the mast. Anyways, gonna go up and check out the snubber, see if there's any chafe on it. It was blowing a good 30-35 last night at times. Pretty noisy. Calmed down sometime during the night because I ended up finally falling asleep, but just looking over everything. They're supposed to get up 40 to 45 mile an hour winds in the next through today and tonight and tomorrow. So far, I love the Rockna Vulcan. I couldn't ask for a better anchor. The anchor that came with Kudos was a 45-pound CQR. The Rockna Vulcan is a 73-pounder. It's oversized for this boat, but in conditions like these and worse. Well, I think the storm is over. It's hard to believe that, Even this morning it was blowing 35 to 40. It's really calmed down in here, almost dead calm now. Actually, yeah, the wind generator's not moving at all. Little flag up there, keep the birds off my AIS antenna, not moving. Anyways, didn't get to film any of the storm stuff other than what I've already showed you, because the major stuff hit at night after dark. I believe it was Tuesday night. I got winds on the chart plotter was reading, with the wind sensor was reading 45 knots at times. And then last night it hit about 7, 8 o'clock at night, and it got with it. And the wind generator actually automatically applies a electric brake on it when it hits a little over 30 knots. So it gets wound up and then the brake hits. It gets wound up and the brake hits. Cycles every few minutes like that. But, you know, about the time you'd think it's calming down, it's okay. And obviously it was in bed later. Then all of a sudden it just sounded like a freight train was coming right through. So it was blowing pretty hard. But everything worked good. The anchor never moved, so all that's good. I'll show you my snubber setup here. I got a 3/4 inch line that runs up, fire hose for chafe protection over the anchor roller and down to a hook that grabs the chain. That way your boat's on like a bungee cord. It's not solid chain and getting yanked and jarred around and making a lot of noise either. Kind of gives it a shock absorber so it doesn't yank around on the boat so hard. This is the one I run most of the time. Works very well. When it was blowing harder, I have a double leg one, and I did some work on it today after I took it off. But it has that style of hook on it, which when I put it on there, I usually take a little bungee cord and wrap around it a couple times. Otherwise it'll drop down and slide right off the chain. And then it's got its single length up to the 3/4 shackle here, and then double lines, and where they go over the bow rollers on each side of the bowsprit. I got fire hose on them, and then the loops at the back there hook on the Samson posts. Those are the strongest attachment points on the boat. So with that one on, I got 2 going out to the clevis and then to the chain. So a little more secure, distributes the load a little better. Seems to work really well. I did do some playing around with this particular storm and tried hooking the double setup on the cleats here, or the hose pipes on either side of the bow here, and the boat seemed to dance around a lot more at anchor. What happens is it gets the wind backs off a little bit, you lose a gust, the boat will move forward as the chain drops more vertical, and then when the wind hits again, then it shoves the boat kind of sideways, and then it pulls back on the anchor, gets everything taut again, and then straightens it out. And it just keeps doing that and keeps doing that. So the boat ends up doing this a lot more. With it hanging, with the snubber hanging off the actual bowsprit out there, it doesn't do that near as badly. So good little test to run, and it definitely made a difference. So I like my setup I have now. Both the lines are going to go over the bow roller, and I'll ride out storms that way. Anyways, again, beautiful afternoon. Couldn't ask for nicer weather now, other than if you were actually out sailing. I'm going to head out of here early in the morning and head for Squim. trying to hit squim at close to high tide. Squim's kind of shallow, and I want to make sure I'm going into it on an incoming tide. That way if I do bump bottom somewhere, the water's getting deeper and not shallower. Anyways, that's about it. Again, I wish I could have filmed some of the storm, but just all the nasty stuff was in the dark, and couldn't get anything to come out on a camera. All right, I'm about ready to get out of Barlow Bay, McKay Harbor. Well, not that beautiful. It's foggy. Had to wait till the fog lifted a little bit this morning. It's about 10 o'clock. Get out of here and go somewhere else. Definitely very calm and still morning. So let's get this anchor up. Anyways, I got the snubber up here. I already pulled it up a few feet. Got it where the snubber hook, I can get a hold of it. I'll just drop that back in the water. This is the fire hose I was talking about for chafe protection. This stuff is awesome. It's amazing how tough it is. This has been on there, oh my goodness, probably since the first or second year I've had the boat, and it's done almost all the anchoring since I've been up here. And you know, very few nights I've been in a moorage, so that's almost every night. It's been through a couple of blows, although I did change over to the double one on this one. But yeah, this stuff is just miraculous how it works. Again, my nice little remote. And you'll see on the chain something I've done. I found these on eBay, and these actually snap together. They're little plastic chain markers. They snap together. They're kind of a hard plastic, but they seem to be staying put. A lot of the things you use on your chain to mark depth don't stay put. So after a while they're gone. And painting it, obviously I painted all this. I put a nice coat of white on first, then red after that. You can tell the red's almost all completely gone already. So that didn't work. But those markers, I might get another set of those off eBay. Those actually work pretty good. They're not the rubbery ones. Like I said, they're hard plastic. Anyways, we'll keep bringing it up. The chain's marked every 25 feet. There's a color code. Red is 25, yellow 50, blue 75, white is 100, and then green is 125, and then it starts back over again. Red. And you're gonna laugh, but it's an old sailing term, I'm assuming, and like a lot of things are. The way you remember your colors is rub your balls in grease. And I'm sure that was referring to musket balls in the old flintlocks and stuff they had long ago. Alright, starting to get some crap on here. Got some plant life. This washdown hose, this is a 70 psi. No. 70 psi, and then I can't remember the gallon per minute, but or gallon an hour. So there's the white. Got a glob of lettuce out coming up here at the bottom. There's some stuff starting to come up with it. Just hose that off. Don't need it in the chain, or down in the chain locker. That goes all the way to the bottom of the boat. It does. Originally, the anchor locker in this boat emptied into the bilge, and obviously made a mess down the bilge. I cleaned it all out. I put a new floor in the locker and put a drain in it where at least now it empties into the shower sump. And then there's a pump that pumps it overboard from there. That way, if it does get gunky down there, I can at least clean it out and get to it. A lot of the original setup, I can't get the water tanks out, and it flows underneath them. Some sea lettuce, I call it, down there, trying to wrap around the chain. But we pull a little bit in. It's a 1,000-watt Low Friends Tigris winch, and although it's very strong, it's not that strong, and so you try not to work it to death. You pull up a little bit of line, let the boat move towards it or do whatever it's got to do, and then relax for a minute, let it catch up with itself, get over the top of the chain again, and pull up some more. See here, it's starting to run against the bobstay, so we'll just let the boat swing here. A little bit of fluorescent orange is actually still there. That's signaling that I'm getting close to being on the end of the chain. So I know that start paying better attention. I am shocked that this chain is not covered with mud. Usually when it comes up, especially this much chain out in this short a depth, shallow, usually the chain's just covered in this gunky, nasty yuck. And it looks like I'm gonna have to go up there and help that off of there. That feels like a Barlow pad. There we go. That'll actually return to the bottom to its home. It's amazing scuba diving up here. That stuff in areas just covers the entire bottom. You can't see the bottom through that. And obviously it gives hiding holes for all sorts of critters. I get underneath it. See, now we're lodged in the mud. And I'm sure that anchor dug very deep in that blow. So we'll take up a little bit at a time. I'm not stalling the motor. The clutch there on the what they call the gypsy is greased, and it's got like a cone set up on each side so it does slip, so you don't hurt the motor. Oh yeah, I can feel it. When I did that, I felt the boat pull down. So yeah, it's still. I'm just shocked that there's no mud on it. Usually, like I said, sometimes it takes forever just to get all the mud off. So we can probably stop doing that. At least until the anchor comes up. We'll just keep playing it here. I'm getting a little bit each time. Who knows how deep that anchor went in the bottom. Because it is designed to just, as long as it can, it'll just keep going down. And obviously it did. It's starting to move a little bit now. I think she's free now. Yeah, she's off the bottom now. Nice to have no wind this morning, because now I don't have to worry about the boat drifting somewhere into somebody or into the rocks. That's nice. Now we're going to get to see what the bottom looks like. There's the mantis swivel. There's what the bottom looks like. Holy yuck. Okay, what we do here, that's a lot of mud. Obviously that anchor was buried deep. And that stuff's like crude oil or something. I don't, it's just nasty. It's sand, mud, everything else, shells. You can see some shells in it. The last bay I was in was, the anchor was just covered in seashells. So anyways, we're going to leave it just like that. And we are going to actually motor a little while out of here and let that get rinsed off. Alrighty, getting out of here into McKay Harbor. You can look down at the anchor. There's been some shells and stuff coming off of it, but it looks like it's pretty well cleaned off now. That doesn't take very long to get that done. Doing it this way. Hosing it off, it takes forever sometimes. And gonna raise it on up. Oh yeah, she's clean. Now the problem I got is she's backwards. So we are going to, this is my other little technique. Grab my boat hook that I keep here. You notice there's a rope on the tail of the anchor. I grab it. Put my boat hook back. Go outside the whisker stay. And I come up here on the bow, or up on the bow sprit, and spin the anchor around. And the trick is kind of a timing game here, is getting it to spin and not do that. There we go. Now it's hung up. There we go. That'll bring it in. And I get to about there, I don't use the remote. The remote has some lag and then it stays engaged longer than I want it to. I snap that on there. And come back here. And here I use the button. Because I can just barely. And I bring it up. There is UHMW plastic on the bottom and the side of the bowsprit, so that's what it comes up against. And then I use this little guy, goes underneath my jib sheet here, and hooks to this shackle. And this stuff, my bow roller is so narrow, I have to use blind stainless steel shackles. It's the only ones I could find that'll pass through that thing. I don't like that, but nothing I can do about it. And then this comes back onto that, and that holds the anchor in place. That way if anything ever hits it, or in bigger seas, bouncing, whatever, it doesn't go anywhere. And wash down hose, I'll take a final rinse. Yeah, there's a little on there, not much.